Hello, 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 and welcome back to my channel. Or if it's your first time here, welcome. Today, I am filming two story times because I'm feeling extra generous with my story times. That's why I'm in the same clothes as I was in for my last video. Excuse the lighting. I really need to work that out, but I kind of moved it around a little bit so maybe you can see me better. But this one is another online dating story time. And the reason why I'm sharing these experiences is just as for learning for you all, because we do need to be, again, careful when navigating the waters of online dating. And I know my channel is mostly based on healing, navigating healthy relationships, dealing with narcissists, so anything related to that. And dating is a part of life that we all have to navigate, right? If you're single and you're not blessed enough to be in a healthy marriage. So I like to share pointers and share my experiences that might not be that wonderful. So you can learn from them, and not have to specifically go through them, but then if you do encounter something like this, you can kind of reflect back on other people's experience and say, "Oh, I remember hearing about that, and maybe this is what's going on." Excuse me. I'm still dealing with this sinus thing, which probably will take forever to go away. But I'm not going to stop recording videos while I deal with this sinus thing, so just bear with me. So this particular video is about, again, plenty of fish, online dating. The time I ran into a gentleman who I'm pretty sure was married. And that's why I want to share this experience, because I believe you're going to run into a lot of people that are married or in a relationship or have a girlfriend or live with their significant other or what have you, that get on these dating sites and pretend to be single, you know, so that they can experience other women, right? Sure, it happens a lot. So I just wanted to share the details of this specific situation. So if you encounter a situation like this, you'll be able to identify what could be happening. And I'm 99% sure this guy was married. And you'll figure out why when I tell the story. So, typical encounter. Somebody pops up in my DMs. He looked decent. Again, my age, claimed to be a Christian. He had claims. I mean, of course, you never know if these people are telling the truth or not, but claimed he had 2 kids. He did not live in my area. He currently lives, like, say, 3 hours away, but was claiming that he was relocating to my area through his job. So that's why he was on there, of course, to meet people in the area. And he was doing that proactively before he officially made his move. Okay, that story made sense, right? So we're communicating. We started the online conversation. He seemed articulate. He could spell, had proper grammar. He looked decent. He didn't seem like a creep, because there are a lot of creeps on there. Trust me, they rule themselves out of the equation like immediately. You can pretty much tell them right away. He seemed pretty respectful, et cetera, et cetera. So, we were inboxing, going back and forth, and we eventually got to the point where it's like, okay, I think we can exchange phone numbers. And I don't remember how much time passed before we did that, but I'm just kind of accelerating the story here. So we exchanged phone numbers. We're having conversations on the phone, getting to kind of get a feel for each other. And his story was that he found a house here, and he was putting a bid in on this house. It was the perfect house. It had his gourmet kitchen, and he was looking for a house like this because he is, first thing, just keep this in mind, he is a certified chef, or he went to culinary school or something like that. But That was like one of his professional skills or what have you. Chef. That wasn't his job. Now his job was something to do with um, being a foreman or being a big manager over some contracts, some development, like some kind of development, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but some kind of developmental contracts, like actually huge developments over areas, and that's why he was having to relocate here because they were doing some developments here, whatever. Now I never really take what people tell me for face value. I kind of do a little Google searching and stuff, and the company existed, and it could have been true, right? So I'm like, okay. And then when we got to talking, he was like, yeah, well, in my past, in my past, I was a general manager at Home Depot for X amount of years, and I was over X amount of stores and did all this traveling, and now I'm doing this job where I'm over this developmental thing. Um, I can't remember the word for it, but anyway, he was doing this job. So he was that and a culinary chef. Okay, that sounds reasonable. And he's looking to relocate here like within the next few weeks, and he's coming here to put a bid on this house that it took him forever to find because it had the perfect kitchen to showcase his skills. Sounds good. So he said, well, I'm already coming there this weekend, um, because I need to do a last like tour of this house, and I need to put my bid in because the real estate market was really hot. Like houses were going in a day. And then, so it really didn't even make sense. That part of the story, I didn't even kind of believe it because I'm like, houses are going in a day around here right now. So I can't believe that this house that you took forever to find is still on the market. But he was like, yeah, it's still on the market. So it seems to me by the time he was coming here that weekend, that house would be already sold. But that's what he said, right? So he was coming here that Saturday to put this bid in on this house. So then he ends up taking all day to get here. He got here at night. He was saying that he had to go to do something at the last minute at his daughter's college. He had two children, supposedly. Again, this is all allegedly, but he had two children. They were both grown. One was in college, and he ended up at the last minute having to go to. But the whole point of him coming here was to put a bid in on this house. So he was supposed to be here in the morning. Like I said, nothing was adding up, but he was still coming here, so he came, and then I guess he was going to go the next day to do the house thing. But again, houses are selling in a day here. That house would have been long gone. I think it was bull crap. But hey, this is his story. I'm just a I'm just a squirrel in the world listening to the story, right? So anyway, he gets here in the evening. He ends up checking into a hotel, and he was like, "Well, where would you like to meet?" I don't know. I'm open to whatever. So we meet at a karaoke bar and pizza place or whatever. Um, so we sit down, meeting. He's telling me about some girl that he met here previously when he came to town through the website, and telling me all about her and how um he chose not to pursue anything with her because she kept bragging about all these men that were after her, and it was a turnoff to him. And he just kept talking about her like the whole time. And I guess his whole trip to Omaha, on his whole trip to Omaha, where I live, he was on the phone with her telling me this. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, why would you spend the whole time on the phone with her if you're not interested in her anymore? And why are you even telling me this? I think he was trying to make me feel like there was some competition and kind of make me jealous or make me want to like pursue him harder, or like some kind of reverse psychology or something. I don't know. But I was like, if you're really interested in her and you spent your whole drive in on the phone with her, then why don't you call her and y'all hook up? Like, I'm not going to get jealous of that girl, like, I don't know what game you're playing here, but Call her. Go meet up with her. Weird. And I told him, I said, don't you realize the same thing that you got annoyed with her over her talking about other men during your first date? You're doing the same thing with me. He was like, yeah, I guess you're right. The other weird thing. Now let me back up. One of our phone conversations before he even came here, one of our phone conversations did raise another red flag. He brought up the fact that not only did he have the job with the contract thing, contractors or development job or whatever, and the fact that he went supposedly to culinary school, he also was a paralegal, and he was working in the program where you the Innocence Project or something, where you help people get out of jail that are in jail, that are like falsely accused or whatever. He was working on that too, part-time. So I'm like, how do you have time to have this demanding job that's relocating you here, where you're over these big development projects, some important job? You went to culinary school and you're doing the Innocence Project. I can't remember if that's the name of the project, but something like that. Helping innocent people that are falsely accused get out of jail or prison. I'm like, you have an awful lot on your plate. And you're a single father of two grown children. But you raised them by yourself because you're a single dad. Okay. That's a lot. Have all of them jobs. I'm just going with the flow. But, again, I'm just filing all the information away. So just keep that in mind. He came here, he had all these jobs. So, anyways, tell me about the girl. We grabbed something to eat. We're eating at the table at the karaoke bar. And then he starts to tell me about the house. Well, yeah, this house I'm going to get, it has a perfect place for a studio in the house that he's going to buy the next day, which I doubt there was ever a house. But he says he's going to buy this house the next day, has a studio, space for a studio. And he was asking me if I knew any contractors that he could have come put in a bid to build this studio. I'm like, yeah, I know contractors. But why do you need a studio? He's like, oh yeah, I produce music. I'm a music producer. I'm like, what kind of music? Gospel music. Okay, so when you have time to produce gospel music, do your culinary chef work, free innocent people from jail, and have your full time demanding career. When do you have time to do all that? Well, I just never sleep. And take care of your children. Well, they're grown now, but obviously they take time away because you spent the whole day with your daughter. Supposedly. I'm sure that wasn't even true either. But he was like, of course, claiming he did all this stuff. Okay. So then he was telling me how he was raised in a church. His parents were, he raised them. His dad was like a preacher. His mom was like in the choir, and he was raised in a church. So he does this gospel music producing. And so I had to take his word for it because he's raised in a church. He's being honest. I just could feel that he was completely full of crap because he kept coming up with jobs that he does. So it was so weird. Well, next thing you know, we're sitting there, and he had his hands sitting on a table, and I happened to look down at his hands, and he had a ring, not on his wedding finger, but he had a wedding ring on this finger, on his non-wedding ring hand. Like he switched it, moved it over. And I looked down, he was like, that's not a wedding ring. I didn't even say anything. I just happened to keep my eye caught a glimpse of the ring. It was clearly a wedding band. I was like, oh, that's not a wedding ring? No. And he took his hand off the table and put it back down. And I was like, sure does look like one. But I mean, yeah, it's not on the wedding ring finger. But clearly he moved it before he got there. So that's when I started realizing, okay, this man is most likely just married. He's married. His wife's at home. He's probably got sidetracked with her all day. She's probably trying to figure out where he's going. And he had to make up an excuse of why he had to leave and go somewhere 3 hours away. Or I don't even know what he told her. This is just my guess. He clearly was married. I mean, he had a wedding ring on his hand. And I don't know why he would be wearing that. And he probably goes on the internet and looks for women that aren't like in his immediate vicinity because, you know, towns are small, people talk, people see you out in public, they'll go back and tell your wife, right? So he probably looks like 3 hours away, 2 hours away, and he'll travel there to meet women and then go back home to his wife. That's what I think the strategy for that is. And the reason why he probably had so many jobs is because he probably forgets what he told me he did. And he probably has so many women that he talks to on the dating site. And you can be whatever you want to be when you're on a dating site. Like you can make up whatever persona you want. That's the beauty of it, right? So, hey, I can get on there and say I'm a lawyer. I can get on there and say I'm a lounge singer. I mean, who's going to know? If I have no intention of ever having any dealings with you in the future, you know, I just want to come in town and hang out with you a couple times, you know, and then probably ghost you. How are you going to ever know what I do? And that's probably what he does. So that's probably why he had 50 jobs that didn't even have anything in common with each other. So it's not like he could say, I'm a contractor, and then, oh, well, you know, my part-time job is I'm an inspector and I'm a real estate agent. Okay, that all kind of lines up together and makes sense, but you're a culinary artist or you went and you're a certified chef and you're over all these projects for redevelopment and you help get innocent people out of jail because you're a paralegal and you're a gospel music producer. Those things don't have anything in common with each other. They're all very time consuming. I don't believe it. I don't believe any of it. So I shared that story. Oh yeah, let me tell you what happened. So I cut the night short. I think he thought I was going to hang out with him all night or something. And no, I wouldn't do that anyway. Because I just don't. But I was like, okay, well, it's nice meeting you. And I said, you know what? I think you should call your friend that you were on the phone with all the way here. I think you'd have a better chance of her like hanging out with you tonight. I'm going to go home. And I didn't tell him why or anything, but I would have done that anyway because I had no plans on hanging out with him all night. I thought he was coming here to put a offer in on a house, and I was just meeting with him to eat. But in his mind, that was just a lie for the reason why he was coming here, and he was probably going to try to get me to hang out with him all night long under false pretenses. Then he was going to go disappear into the sunset when he went back home to his wife. That's my guess. But instead, I just kind of ghosted him. Nah. Anyway, that was that. Next thing you know, he disappeared off the dating site. Never contacted each other again. I'm pretty sure, like I said, he's married. He had to get off of there real fast before his whole life came crumbling down. So I said all that to say, You have to be so careful when you get on these sites because you do have people that are married in relationships or living with their significant other, whatever, that are lurking on there. You do have people that don't live in your city, that might live in a nearby city, that come up with some kind of crazy story as to why they're looking in nearby cities. Well, because it's easier to cheat that way and keep everything away from their spouse. So that's a perfect way to do it. That's a great strategy. So just really be mindful when you're on these dating sites of situations like that. And realize everyone is not on the up and up. Everyone's not going to be on there saying, "Yeah, I'm married." Everyone's not going to be on there telling the truth. They're not. I mean, I've been in relationships in the past with buttholes where I've found their dating profiles, and I was with them, and they were actively on dating sites pursuing relationships with other women. So I know I could be on the other end of that, so, and so can you. It happens. So just kind of really be watching out for the red flags. In this case, I'm sharing all the red flags. The guy had on a wedding ring. He just put it on a different hand. Pretty sure that means he's married. Don't really know how else to take that. So I just wanted to share that little story. How to identify a married man on a dating site and stay away from him because you don't want to be in that situation. I'm not in this to date somebody's husband. Like, that's never going to happen. Your soulmate is never going to be somebody's husband. Mm-mm. Never that, honey. So, thanks for listening to my little story. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or if you've ever had this happen to you, share your thoughts, share your story, comment below. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend, day, night, morning, whatever time you're looking at this. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for listening. And I'll be back later with more story times or just more general information for your healing journey. And I'll talk to you later.